Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Herbal Mana Podcast, where we get into all things natural, anything that will help us to hurt less and live more, which is our tagline for Herbal Mana. And the things that we look at come in all shapes and sizes, often some things that are overlooked. Today, I'm going to have an interesting guest. This will be a lot of fun because I can see he's doing some things that line up with some of the things that I do. Today, we've got Brad Blair from Pacific Tanning. To start
Hello.
off with, Brad, I notice you are not on the Pacific Coast.
No, I am not.
A bit close.
Yeah, not even close. Completely other side in New York.
How many locations do you have?
We have 4 locations in business now for 25 years.
Awesome.
Yeah,
And how is it that you're Pacific Tanning when you're on the wrong side of the continent?
that's a long story. How I built the company from the get-go. That was from, and my daughter's mother actually made that name up. We didn't think of really any particular name yet, but that was one that was on our board and listed, and we said we'll go with it. It's something different. We can give the Pacific side to the east side over here.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Now, tanning.
Yes.
I find it's often overlooked. We're looking at a health regimen. Tanning and other forms, well, all forms of light, often overlooked. Now, our crowd at Herbal Mana, we're helping folks that have pain issues, particular long-term pain issues, chronic issues. Personally, I've had 24 surgeries, 20 of those were orthopedic, a few broken bones, things like that. And light and temperature have a lot to do with how well I function, how I feel, how I heal. If I do a session at the gym, the things that I do following up the session indicate how long it's going to take for me to recover. In Pacific Tanning, what sort of modalities do you guys have? And why do you have that? Because I know you've got a lot going on. You've got some really cool stuff in social media and the website.
Yeah.
What do you have and why do you have it?
So we have our lay down UVA, UVB unit, which is your normal regular tanning unit. And then now we have also hybrid. Hybrid's going to be your UVA, UVB, also red light therapy, LED. The stand-up is a hybrid vibration plate, helps, increase blood circulation. So you stand on a floor and the whole floor kind of vibrates. Then we also have red light therapy, full body red light or a face red light by itself. We also have cold plunge. So you get into like considered an ice bath or a cold plunge. Then we also have a wellness cocoon pod. That's going to be kind of like a sauna with red light, near red light, infrared light, salt rock, and aromatherapy. A lot of the new beds have also aromatherapy. They don't even call them tanning anymore, believe it or not. These hybrids, they're considered a class of their own because they're considered wellness units. They're not just giving you a color of tan. They're helping your body actually not only produce more vitamin D, because of vitamin D deficiency, which we seem to have a lot of, but it's helping tighten, tone, firm, helping joints, muscles, bones, relaxing stress, sleep. I mean, there's a whole science behind it, but basically now they're called wellness units. So we are a wellness beauty salon spa that offers all these amenities as well as spray tanning, teeth whitening to make you look great and feel great. We're selected one of the top salons in the whole USA nation 6 years in a row.
Awesome.
Out of 40,000 salons, they choose 250. It's a magazine looking fit, and we were chosen. We're the only ones in New York to ever do it. Business 25 years now, 4 locations. We have now probably over 98,000 guests that have walked through the doors. Love doing it. Yeah.
Hey, you mentioned vitamin D.
Yeah.
What's the big deal with the vitamin D? Why does it matter? And are we getting enough?
Probably not. I don't think so. I mean, I'm not a doctor, not a physician, but from my experience, obviously with overcast clouds, depending where you are in the country or the world, if you are not getting exposed to sunlight or UV and natural sunlight, your body will not be able to produce vitamin D. That's another misconception, is that people think going in a tanning bed or going outside, getting that UV, that is what's giving them the vitamin D, and it's not. Our bodies produce vitamin D. So we need these specifics to have our body produce this vitamin D. You can get it from milk, fish, pills, you can take your medicine, but getting natural vitamin, your body to produce vitamin D from natural sources such as sunlight, UV bed is beneficial.
And the vitamin D is kind of interesting for the body. It's the only vitamin that we can make. There aren't any other vitamins the human body can manufacture, but with the right input, with the right light input and cholesterol, oddly enough, cholesterol plus the light, we can actually make vitamin D. And without vitamin D, among other things, our bones aren't going to be as solid because we can't have the the incorporation of the calcium into the bones nearly as well without the vitamin D. As far as muscle function, doesn't function as well. Our pain receptors actually light up a little more when we're deficient in vitamin D. So I went today. I went to a place locally, the Tans, because they've got the right amount of light, and part of it's the red light spectrum, near and far infrared, as well as the light that I need for the vitamin D. And I can tell you, without that, in the wintertime, I hurt more. I'm not as settled. My muscles are a little jittery at some point. When I get low, I know I'm low. And a lot of folks just don't get that. In your beds, you've got multiple spectrums of light. Why is that? How does that help folks?
Well, it's going to help with not only just the bones itself, but your blood circulation. Going to help, believe it or not. Some people take skin and tanning and they think of this catastrophic negative outcome. That's not the case. I don't break out. A lot of dermatologists I know actually have a UV lamp, more of a UVB lamp, that UVB lamp, I'm not a science behind this, but for me to put it in terms of people to understand, a UVB lamp is going to technically dry out. That breakout is going to clear the skin. It won't clear it 100%. Usually it minimizes it or keeps it maintained. Light is just needed in general, just even for energy. Besides of the benefits of vitamin D, our bodies just, need the resources of light. And light energy is just a big thing too. Even when you go in a red light bed, sometimes you normally don't really see the results right away, but you feel them. But then by your 12th session, you start seeing the results of the tightening of the skin, the clearing of the skin. And it's just an amazing experience just to make you feel well. One thing that I do is I'm a personal development coach. I started doing that about 2.5, 3 years ago, called You Versus You. And I implemented that into our salons. We're probably only one of the salon spas where I'm a personal development coach to help individuals level up their self-respect and in the avenue of your fitness, your mindset, wellness, having that one-on-one, as well as the units such as red light, tanning, spray tanning, and everything is to make us look great, feel great, euphoria great, and more healthier, living longer. I'm going to live past 100 years old. That's my game.
I'm always a little hesitant when I hear somebody say I'm a coach, I'm a mentor. But I can tell you folks watching this podcast, if you'll look at the social media links and such that I'll put in the show notes, Brad's the real deal. He lives it. He's not just talking. I see some folks on stage that will talk health, not look particularly healthy. They'll talk about their expertise and not really be that persuasive. If you look at Brad's content online, if you look at his company, he's persuasive because he's walking the walk and doing crazy stuff, some of the cold plunge stuff, some of the things that aren't much fun at times, but dang, they move the needle if you're willing to be committed. And you're obviously committed. And that shows in the posts, and it just shows in your physique. By the way, can I ask how old you are?
I am 46, going on 25.
When I go to the gym, which I did this morning, I'd stand you up against all those young dudes I see in the gym.
Yeah.
There's a lot of young guys that look the same today as they looked 2 or 3 years ago when I joined this little local gym. They're just not taking it to the level they need to take it as far as really being dedicated and having a regimen, some kind of routine, which you obviously have.
Very, very true. Yeah.
What does your morning look like?
My morning routine,
yes.
My morning routine, I'm going to be up anywhere from 4 a.m. to probably about 6:30 a.m., depending if I have my son or not going to school. But I will get up in the morning, obviously do my hygiene, which is going to be, cleaning face, brushing teeth, face cleanser, get me waked up. And then if I, basically after my shower, I will go downstairs. I have 1 glass of orange juice. I have 1 glass of either greens or reds. Greens is going to be obviously your greens. Reds is optimal for the reds, the berries and stuff. That is all made in a powder I purchased from a company online that I've been with now. We're also a distributor of that company through our Pacific Tanning. And then I also have my supplements. And then I have, which is a list. And then I also have hydrogen water. Make sure I have my 1 glass of hydrogen water every morning, at least 1. So I'm hydrating in the morning as well. I also will do anywhere from 25 push-ups or burpees to 100 push-ups or burpees first thing in the morning. Burpees, I call them the healer. No matter what you're going through in life, no matter how your emotions are going, to get that morning going and win that morning, do some physical activity, pressure, resistance, or sweat to get the body going. You overcome that. We don't want to do it, and that's why we should do it. And then usually from there, I begin my day, whether it's emails, texts, a lot of business stuff, interaction with clients and guests from my store. And then throughout the day, I go to every store every single day. So 4 locations, I will drive to each one every single day, 7 days a week.
Awesome.
To make sure that they are running properly, interacting with my 33 employees. And then either the gym is before or after, depending on my day. I go to the gym every day, 7 days a week. I do not miss. There is no off days. My off day is considered like a Monday, which is like a core day. Each day I have my regimen of what muscle group I'm doing. Throughout the week, I'm doing a cold plunge probably about 3 days out of the week. Red light therapy about 3 days out of the week, tanning maybe twice out of the week. And sometimes I'll do my walks. There's grounding, there's breath work involved, there's meditation, there's affirmation. So I have a whole list that I do also in my personal development coaching, which my clients will log into the app, and it gives them a daily habit. I'm really considered, if you asked my niche in the personal development coaching is I'm a daily habit routine coach. I'm going to build a daily habit routine. And you're not going to break. You're going to become this undeniable, unbreakable individual, leveling up self-respect, because that is the basis foundation of everything you're doing in life. Self-respect.
Routine is critical. Occasionally run into folks who push back. They hear about my morning routine, which is not quite as thorough as yours, but I've got a set things I need to do that I do every single day.
Yep.
And it's interesting to see the pushback, but those who really want to succeed, even if we're just trying to succeed in our personal lives, trying to move the needle somewhat on our health, we've got to establish those routines. If nothing else, it saves a lot of brain power. I saw a study recently. This was kind of interesting, talking about how much willpower a person has. And it appears this had to be figured out by the guys in the white lab coats that can figure out how to figure these sorts of things. But it seems that human beings have a certain amount of willpower that they can use each day, a certain amount of decision-making that they can use each day. And when you use it up, it's used. So what I don't want to do is get up in the morning and then decide, gosh, am I going to the gym today? Am I taking my supplement powders today? And then have to ponder through that, because apparently that uses up some of my capacity to make decisions as the day goes forward. And what I don't want to do is hit mid-afternoon and be mentally fatigued when I'm still working away. I've got stuff to do. So routine is so critical.
Yeah.
Whether it's business or health or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah. Yeah. My willpower is very strong, but I also, even my clients will ask, or I have a saying for my you versus you business. It's worthy, willing, wealthy within. And you need to extract that from inside of you and give that back to the world and everybody you come in contact with. Will only get you so much, but you have to be willing to do it. Now, you also have to be disciplined. That's probably the key. Discipline is doing the things that you don't want to do, and eventually you'll love doing it. It's programming the mindset and programming the body, the habit, continuously every single day, showing up for you to show up for everybody else.
You know, the thought of missing the gym in the morning just kind of wigs me out a little. That would mess up my whole day. And
Right.
I have to go first thing in the morning because I don't know what kind of interruptions are coming. I've got all kinds of business things and other things going. If I'm not there first thing in the morning, odds are pretty good. I may not make it. Something could pop up.
Yeah, usually my morning workouts are usually the better workouts. That's when I would love to go. It's just sometimes depending if I have my son in that morning or something comes up. I was going to do the gym the other day, and then one of my stores, I had to get there and do some maintenance on a bed before we opened, and things come up. But you make it work. Gym's open.
How did you start on the coaching? You said you've done it a few years now?
Yeah, my journey of the personal development's probably now been about 7 years, but then I built the company about a year and a half ago. I stopped all vices and I eliminated all poisons, all negativity. I stopped listening to music for 2.5 years, no TV, no going out, no socializing. I basically went into a rogue cocoon of my own to figure out who I was. I want to feel for the first time real feelings, be able to, I call it CMC, cope, manage, conquer those feelings and be able to thrive from that and offer, hopefully, I didn't know I was going to offer this to other people, but I became kind of so obsessed with the real, new, authentic me. So authenticity comes from being your true self without any altering vices. Vices is a huge list of vices, but basically you have your alcohol, which I have not indulged in now over 4.5 years, not a sip.
That's awesome.
No smoking, no vaping, no porn, no Netflix, just lay back and Netflix and chill. There's obviously overindulge eating, the wrong nutrition and wrong foods, and the list goes on. But if you look and Google up the list of vices, they alter your authenticity. Now, some people ask me, why about music? Well, music altered my authenticity. When you listen to a happy song or a sad song, what do? You emotionally get attached to that song, and usually you're happy or sad. I wanted to be completely aligned with who I am and be able to say, okay, I have a growth pattern and a growth routine and a personal development routine that I can now put upon myself, never break that character. I owe it to everybody else. That's saying that, I don't owe nobody anything. That's all false. That's a lie. You owe your authentic 100% self to everyone you come in contact with, especially your family, your children. But you have to be 100% for yourself first before you can give it to others. So my 5 key areas within this personal development growth was mindset, fitness, sober living, business, relationships. So those 5 key areas in my life are all based off self-respect. If I level up my self-respect, I will level up those 5 key areas. And I've now have this developed company to help clients, whether it's either business customers or whatnot, to stop vices, to build a daily habit, to find it authentic themselves and level up that self-respect to be the best person. And that's what we all strive for. That's everybody's first purpose on this planet, is to be the best individual you possibly can be every day and give that back to the world. And nobody can take that away from you. That's yours forever. And that is just considered of empowerment, freedom. It feels great to now finally be in the place where I could give this back to others, and then starting to see them do it for their family, their children. I have a 24-year-old daughter and a 5-year-old son. I will be that person to be their superhero, and it feels great.
It's great to have that kind of setting, especially home life setting, because you can pass so many of those traits along. I've heard this is from old writings, that the sins of the fathers are visited upon the heads of the children to the 3rd and the 4th generation. But I also think good habits can be shared with those kids to the 3rd and the 4th generation if we're willing to spend the time to really help set those habits. And I like what you're doing in that respect, especially on the family side. That's pretty awesome. So Who works with you? What kind of folks are drawn to you, and who are you willing to work with on the mentoring and coaching?
Yeah, the personal development coaching, I personally I leave the door open. As I always say, I'm kind of open arms, open heart, open mind to listen to whoever. But if someone's going to, I took a call the other day, and they asked, do I really have to wake up at 6 a.m.? I said, well, if it was up to me, I'd say start at 4. And they said, well, I can't do that. I said, okay, what about 7? I don't know if I could do that.
Boy.
I'm done. The call really is short. It says, you're not really, what I always say to you, your personal present moment, if it is not as painful as change, you will not change. So right now I ask some people, and I'll say, is your present moment that bad? Have you hit rock bottom, or are you in a pain point in your life that you really want to fix? And some will say yes, but also they don't know. They don't understand because maybe they're indulging in vices. I call it a fogged reality. You could have a lot of things aligned. I had my business running for so long, and it looked great on the book cover, but I still didn't have me. I always had everything else kind of set. And I realized through the process now of becoming truly authentic and, in this growth of every day, that I need to take on people like me, like business owners, which I love doing, but also even the younger generation. I do some speaking at some schools, and to see them getting ready for this world they're going to go and thrive in, and they think they got it all figured out, as I did when I was in school.
Didn't we all?
Yeah, right. And, I'm really open to any clientele. Mostly now I have men. I have a few female, but they're usually in a process of a relationship issue, which usually is the relationship with themselves, God, or their spouse. And then you have some that just want to lose weight, physical fitness, and then some are business. They want to either thrive more in their business, but they don't realize they have to show up the best version of themselves to then have everything else being able to receive. We want abundance in all areas. You are not able to receive that abundance until you become that best authentic you. So my clients are going to be, really, I'll talk to anybody because I'll never shut anybody down. I've had some past friends that, suicide, and they thought they were alone and just going through the rough times. And I don't think, many people that are in the place and the position, such as I am now, have the open mind and thought pattern, or even just the ability to say, hey, let me reach out to this person. If I see something on social media, I'm going to reach out. I'm going to message. Not that I want to pry in anybody's business, but I am here to listen. I also can say nothing, give no guidance. I'll just let you gurgitate and vent. And some people just need that. It's a lot of fun, but it's interesting when you have some that say, I want it. Yeah, I want this. And then they try to listen to the first few things that I want to implement. And it's like, well, I don't know. Or I have this, someone says, I have children. You still can work it out. Don't make excuses. We're all in our own head. We always get in our own way. We complicate things. As I say, it's a simple blueprint, but of course, it doesn't mean it won't be difficult. And it's supposed to be. You're supposed to feel an achievement.
Certainly, if you want to make some changes, if you're not happy with where you're at, it's going to have to cost something. There's going to be some effort, little pain.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot of pain. Yeah. No doubt about that. Yeah. Can't just keep doing what they're doing and expect a better result.
I always used to say that too, is my way didn't work. I tried my way for so long in these different areas, and my way just didn't work. And you could ask yourself, there's another saying, life's a mirror, not a window. If you want all the answers to all the questions, look in that mirror and ask yourself, who am I? What am I? And what I want to become? Am I really doing everything possibly I can every day to be the best version of me? And sometimes, most of the time, there's always room for improvement. There's always room for progress. And that's the best part about it, is because we're in control. We can control our environment. We can control our thoughts and our minds. It takes a lot of practice. I don't really listen to music still, very rarely. It's usually always some type of subject area, educational, inspirational, motivational, affirmation in a targeted moment for that day. And I do that minimum 8 to 10 hours a day. It's always usually a YouTube type of subject. And we could, call them inputs and outputs. What you input and what you do internally will shape your external. So a lot of it is a simple blueprint, but some don't want to listen.
What do you listen to in the gym?
The gym, usually, if it's going to be a music genre, I love R&B. It's probably my favorite music, but either EDM or house music. Sometimes it will be rap or hip hop, but it's very short. Maybe and I do 2.5 hours at the gym every day. So that's maybe 10 minutes of music. The rest is going to be a subject area. So I've called it like I make my own algorithm in my phone. So I clear the cache, I clear all the history. I do this usually about once or twice a month. And then I go to every social media platform, as well as my YouTube and my search engines. The first thing I type in is personal development on all of them. And then I make sure that is kind of like my algorithm. That's now what I'll see. But usually I'll go to YouTube in the gym, and then I will scroll a little bit to see a topic that I like, because my algorithm now is showing me really what I want. And God, my list is so long of so many mentors and just people that are in the space of either business, personal development, personal growth, taxes, real estate. I don't know much about taxes or real estate, so I want to just kind of learn more about it. It intrigues me to be around, it's funny, I just said that, to be around someone in real estate that's a billionaire, but I'm not around him. I'm at the gym, but I can close my eyes, listen, and visualize that he's right next to me. So that's also visualization, manifestation. So I'll do a lot of that. That's probably a good an hour and a half, 2 hours of my time at the gym. And it's a topic. Also, if I'm passionate about the tanning business, I'll type in the tanning industry or look up wellness units or red light therapy and just kind of gain more knowledge and see if I could be surrounding myself with like-minded people, individuals. And it's very hard nowadays for the way I kind of built, because when I ran Rogue, I basically cleared out my socializing and said, let me really, truly be me and figure this out. And I love it. Oh, I'm so obsessed with it. I love it. And I've been through, some breakups, divorces, and that put me in a bad place at times. And that's tough. I used to drink a lot. I went through the system, I've been in and out of jail, like this crazy stuff, my story. And those things, though, kind of it's like I had to go through that somehow to then get where I am today. Don't recommend it. Don't want anybody to do that. But
have the experience. Tough to get the experience.
Yeah.
I'd rather read about experience, but
yeah, I mean, failures
have to go through.
Yeah, failures have to happen. If you don't fail, you're not trying hard enough. It's still a lot of fun.
Used to work with a billionaire client that so they just get up in the morning, try to make 2 or 3 decisions, and hope that one was right. Maybe a couple would be wrong. Just wanted to get something net positive for the day. More good
Yeah, yeah.
decisions than bad decisions. So that's how he approached his day every day. And it worked out well for him. He did well. Good discipline and just had that attitude, push, 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 knowing some things are going to break. Get up in the morning, push again, keep it going.
I always say there's also value in losses and there's lessons there. But as I've gone through my journey, even through the hardest times, you almost gotta, they call it the observer of the thinker. So observe what you're thinking, how you're thinking, why you're thinking, and actually ask yourself, what am I thinking? Why am I thinking? Or why did I do this? And, they have that saying, if you fall, get right back up. That's wrong. You're lied to. You want to fall and sit in it for a minute and feel where you are at that moment. If you fall down or you're in a bad rut, sit in it for a minute, feel that, understand what you're feeling, understand what you're going through. That's how you grow through it, and then get up. And then now you're better. You're ready. You have a foundation. I used to fall down and get right back up. I didn't really think about what I went through, and that really kind of just didn't do much value for me. So now I'm in the process where I can really understand what's happening in my surrounding. It gets kind of weird because you see things so differently. It's fascinating.
But I think it's interesting, also kind of sad. I look at the guys at the gym, but also in life in general, a lot of folks will have something going in the background, Netflix, music, whatever it happens to be, and it somewhat anesthetizes them, separates them from the world and from their own reality. So they're not experiencing some of what they're passing through. They're ignoring some of the pain. They're ignoring some of the lessons and simply allowing a bunch of filler that's not of their own creation, and they're not advancing. Had this discussion with some folks I mentor of late. As far as going to the gym, do you go to the gym and just plug into music the whole time, or are you intentional? Personally, there's some things I like to listen to, like you're doing, podcasts, some other things, until I get to a point in my workout where I just can't focus on the message and push the weight. So sometimes I'll switch over to kind of like 70s classic rock, 80s classic rock for a part of the workout, not very much. And then once I kind of cleared my head, got to where I could focus again, I'm back on a podcast. And I would rather have that because that's valuable time to me. I do need to be there. I do need to push the weights, but I also need to move forward. I've got to make some progress somewhere in my life besides just the physical side.
Yeah.
I think there's a real missed opportunity for folks.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the physical part of it is the byproduct. That's just going to happen. But if you use that time, I mean, I'm doing emails, talking to customers, taking calls, going through software, and then I'm also feeding my input of and absorbing the good word, the motivation, inspiration, a topic or two or three topics, listening to different voices. Now, that's another thing too, that I'm a very good project switcher. So I can be doing the gym, and if I have to refocus or regroup into something I'm listening to or take a task, I could do that pretty good. I don't know how really I developed that skill, but I think running the business at 22 years old, starting it, not knowing anything. I knew nothing starting a business. I have a little green book and I just kept asking questions when I built my company back 25 years ago. I didn't know what a fire permit was, a stud inspection, a plumbing permit. I never knew this stuff. My parents are very savvy and they're part of the company too as well. And as smart as they are, they still learn too. And that's one thing that's great too, have an open mind to learn. But if you stick to a routine and have it in place, a lot of times you're going to create continuous value. You should have value continuously. And like you were saying, all of the other, I'm going to call them vices and substances, is an escape. That's all it is. It's escape the reality or the hard time or the pain that you're going through or at that moment, and you don't want to deal with it. So you do some type of vice, whether it's Netflix or smoking or vaping or drinking alcohol or drugs. I mean, there's a list of, people could be a vice, anything you're so attached to. I've had that issue myself. I would get very attached to my significant other and really losing myself in the process. I had to detach that. That was a part of a vice. And that detach altered me a little bit. But then I had to know that that's my true self, not having the other outside sources, escaping what I have to go through. Many people don't grow what they have to go through. That's why they're always stagnant. They're one place.
Yep. Avoid the pain, avoid the work. It's unfortunate. I know sometimes the pain can be pretty rough, and maybe sometimes you have to step back a little, but you can't make that the habit. You can't be forever stepping away from the difficulties, or you'll never get through the difficulties, never grow, never learn.
Correct. Yeah.
Are there other folks in your space that you think are pretty darn good at what they do? Authors, speakers, others that you think really have it figured out as far as the coaching, mentoring, leading?
Yes. There's many. Yeah, you have Brad Lee, Wes Watson. You have who else? Nick's I forget how to say his last name, but he has like no arms, no legs. He's amazing. And he works out, flies around the world. I mean, he's very established now, but what he went through is just, he, it's just amazing how it puts life in perspective for me to even sit there and look at somebody doing so well, so successful. And that's one thing too. Most people think success is financial, millions of dollars. But you could have all that, but then not have the mindset, not have the fitness, not have the relationships. You're not successful then. Success is being successful in all areas, or at least growing and progressing in all of the areas. This guy, Nick, has got no arms and legs. I mean, he's got one arm. He did jujitsu. Don't ask me how. Like, it's amazing. And just to take that on, there's Jados. That's another one. Then you have Guru Gasad, I think his last name is. Some of them I don't know how to pronounce their names, but I mean, that's just a list. I have in my platform of my U versus U program, I give that education. So there's a portal, you log in, that's educational. And then you have an app that you can log in and keep your all daily habits in line. So in that, I give everything that I've done the last 7 years. Harry Vaynerchuk, my first guy ever started to, he started all the personal development for me for business, and then it just kind of went from there. Grant Cardone.
I like Gary because he just serves it up raw, plain, just speaks
Yeah.
truth. No candy coating, just speaks.
Yeah, that's like Wes Watson. He's one of my favorite right now. He's savage at all of it, but trying to think who else. There's so many.
When somebody starts up the mentoring program, you mentioned you have some that just don't want to get up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 7 a.m. What other things stop them at the gate? About to make a step, but can't let go.
Yeah, usually it's fear. Usually it's all fear-based, and fear-based is almost illusional. It's almost an illusion, technically. From what I've read, fear is an illusion. You've already created that fear, or someone put that fear upon you, and now you identify these different things as fear. So usually it's either fear from success. They don't know if they could do it, self-talk. I'll give them the blueprint. They'll do it also for 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden it's like, where have you been? You haven't checked in. It's like, why are you not even... And I think the discipline is just the biggest thing. But I think the fear-based, and again,
Fear, that's a big thing, because a lot of folks are going to make a change and they start thinking, who am I going to lose in my life? Who am I going to offend in my life? Am I going to stand out? Will I have my identity? Now, in our space, we do a lot with folks with chronic pain. They have a diagnosis, and some have a heck of a time letting go of a diagnosis and they can't move forward. I am whatever kind of victim. I have whatever, therefore I am that thing, and they can't let go of that identity. Just like some don't want to change their morning habits and go to the gym. I'm going to lose a certain crowd. I'm going to lose something. Even if they can't quite define what it is, they become very uneasy about that change. And the fear, it can be a terrible, terrible thing, really grips folks.
Yeah, identity loss, I know, with doing sobriety and going through the process with the 12 steps and AA, and even the ones I coach with that police officers, they get to a point, they are like, who am I? Why does it feel so strange? I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. I don't know and they just have not identified the new them. I always say you have a 2.0 version of you, 3.0 version, and it continuously goes up. You can also identify to yourself, how many versions can you reinvent yourself? 1 time or 1,000 times? Or is it infinite? For me, it's infinite. I will continue to go. I'm at my 4.0 version right now. That's how I'm clarifying it. But some people don't understand that you have to have the old version of you almost die, almost completely extinguish it. And that process of the detachment, because you identify to that past you, and the new you starting to come, and everything's starting to just be new. They get scared. They have fear. They're unsure, unaware. Unknown scares people a lot. It still scares me. Not knowing what's going to happen next, or what's the next step. But it doesn't matter, because if you stick to the routine daily, it's all going to come and be okay. So yeah, I could definitely identify to the identity that when I lost that identity switch it was strange. It was wild. But you get to a point, you just embrace it, and you just know what you're doing is right. They call this also, as you're clear and you become authentic and you're doing your daily routine, you can hear the authentic voice of God. Now, God is your conscience. Conscience is being present in the moment, in the now. It's the most powerful thing to be. considered enlightenment and joy. It just happens. You don't have happiness is a choice. So you could choose to be happy regardless of what you're going through. But now when you get to the point of empowerment, enlightenment, and joy as it just happening, it's because you're more in the present moment. Your consciousness is there, and you're hearing the authentic voice of God telling you, go here, don't go there, do this, make that extra call, don't talk to that person. And you're listening, and it's just guiding you. It's a pathway, and it's so simple. The thing is, when you have all these altering vices, we tend to say, I'll do that later. I don't want to do that. I don't have to do that now. I'll start tomorrow. Or they think it's okay because that bad habit, they never thought of it before or heard that voice, and they just kind of smack it in the face. But I've learned to hear these, I call them data sets from the above. My consciousness is telling me it is not right to have a whole pizza pie. It is not right to go to a fast food place to eat. But why do we do it? Because it's a continuous behavioral habit we've done for so long. So it's easy. That's why it's easy to pick up a drink. That's why it's easy not to go to the gym, because you didn't do it.
I was talking to a doctor a little while back. He picked up smoking when he was in med school. Had a heck of a time getting off of it. And he found with time, it wasn't so much the nicotine, it was reaching for that cigarette, holding it, having that physical side of it. It was such a deeply ingrained habit. It was hard to let go. He's thankful that he finally let go of it, but it was that habit. And it's breaking that habit, that repetitive reaching for the cigarette, repetitively just doing the same thing, that becomes a little bit difficult. But boy, when the chains come off, awesome things happen. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look in the mirror and just be like, where am I at right now? Is what I'm doing working? And a lot of people, like I had a saying where I could basically know someone pretty quickly without even knowing them. And that's, I could look at your physical appearance and just tell me your daily habits. And I'll tell you where you're at, where your pain points probably are or not are, and where you can go. There's obviously deeper things and issues we all have, whether they want to be trauma or depression. Like to me, the way I define it also is you have your past as depression, anxiety is your future. Eliminate both and just stay in the present moment. They don't exist now. It's an illusion. You're making it up all in your head.
In our company, we deal with a lot of folks in pain. One thing that folks in pain sometimes have a hard time with is it doesn't matter whether it's emotional pain, physical pain, whatever the trauma. If they'll focus on their pain, they'll feel their pain more acutely. If they'll look somewhere else, they don't feel it as well. And even in the body, now, I thought I discovered this, frankly. I thought I came up with this because I used to have to get some pretty aggressive body work because of all the scarring and crap from all my surgeries. I found that if I was getting my shoulder worked on by the therapist, they're doing scraping, they're doing whatever, and it's something what I get done is very uncomfortable. If I would focus on my right foot, furthest from my left shoulder, wiggle my toes, and just put my thoughts there, then she could do whatever she wanted to my shoulder. She could dig all she wanted to do whatever she needed with the scar tissue. And I didn't feel much at all because my focus was somewhere else. And I found when I've worked with coaches, if I'm willing to wallow, focus on my pain, focus on my financial problems, focus on my marital issues, if I just want to stay focused without really looking beyond, without looking to some other goal or development or growth, then my pain is more acute. If I'll look to some other growth, some other area, my pain isn't so bad. I have more hope. Life is okay. And I can start to make some progress. But I can't just dwell on the pain and look at my pain all day long. If I'm just thinking about the pain, the problems, the sorrow, I'm just going to spiral.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah. When any of my clients, they'll say, well, I'm going through this or I'm going through that. I said, okay, stop and do 10 burpees right now.
Awesome.
Just 10.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, what do you mean? I said, stop, just do the 10 burpees right now. Like right. And then all of a sudden they'll do it. Some will be like, that's weird. I'll be like, if you want to reprogram and be able to take control of your life, just do this one thing. I mean, I'm rogue. I mean, I've gone to the gym where I'll hear something and it'll bring up some type of past. So now I get a little down or sad. I don't even like calling it depression, but I do 100 burpees and it's gone.
Just a good pattern interrupt. Gotta break the pattern.
Yeah.
Gotta break that thought.
And it seems to work. I call it the burpee healer. It seems to work. Push-ups and stuff, but any type of physical resistance, pressure, sweat will definitely pivot the mindset. You can't think your way into positivity. It's impossible. Try, but really to do it, you have to act on it. And the way to act on it is do some physical resistance, pressure, or sweat. Then you have journaling and all the other great things that you could do. Any type of body aches and stuff. Red light therapy, getting back to that, the cold plunge, all inflammation's gone. It helps so much. So you could do a lot on your own. There's enough you could do on your own, but when you have these other either units and outside sources and your resources that you could utilize, it's a game changer. It makes everything so much more funner and believable. We have to believe in it too. A lot of people just don't believe in themselves also. That's probably one of the biggest things, which is kind of fear-based. They don't believe that they can get up early.
That part's true.
Yeah.
Or they think I'm a night owl. There's something romantic about being a night owl. I can't get up. Who knows? I've got to check my social media at night. I've got to do something. I don't think they can give that up to do that early morning thing. And I found it's just a lot easier to set my time. I have my time that I get up. That's my time I get up. Every day it's the time that I get up. Now, part of that's from growing up on a farm. I kind of drifted away from that a little bit when I got a little older, but then I realized, hey, there was something really good about getting up at the same time every day, nice and early, and just hitting the ground running.
Nice.
And don't have to get up and wonder, what am I doing this morning? I've got different tasks and things. But as far as the first part of my day, I don't have to get up and think, am I taking a supplement? Am I drinking something? Am I going to the gym? Got my routine. I've already made my decision. And I just stick to that little list. And life's simple.
Yeah, I try to define it also. Well, we all have choices. Now, choices is going to be A, B, C, D, all the way through the alphabet. Right, left, 1 through 10. But if you have a definitive decision, I can choose not to drink or drink. But I made a definitive decision with conviction. I'm not going to drink anymore. A decision is one way, one direction, one focal point. That is it. There is no choices. You have to kind of almost break it up for some individuals to understand and grasp it. And I have another saying. You don't need to understand it. Just do the routine. And it will all come. It will all happen. But again, some people just don't want to indulge in my routine's a little tough. My routine's going to break you a little bit. And it's supposed to.
Only if you want to grow. Only if you want to go forward. Only if you want to make changes.
Very true. Yes.
One of the interesting things that I saw when we started trying to get you on the podcast, I initially found you because of all the light therapy, which I'm really into. And I love. And then I kind of stumbled into the mentoring, coaching. And that's when I realized we need this guy. Partly because on the light, the therapy, it's all in one place. You're out in New York, a couple thousand miles from me. Most of my customers, we've got thousands. Most of them are not in New York. But through the coaching, man, people can truly benefit. So how do they find you? How do they connect with you? How do they get started? Because this is something everybody ought to consider regardless of where they're at in their life.
Yeah. Well, you have my website, which is very simple, easy, youversus.info. It's YOUVSYOU.info. You versus you. You versus you always has, always will be. We're always basically challenging ourselves. So the youversus.info. Then you have Instagram, which is the you versus you _ Mr. Brad Blair. Mr. Brad Blair is my name. You have pacific-tanning.com. So it's Pacific hyphen. If you just go on most social medias, I'm on them, and I'm usually on them about 16 hours a day. I answer every review. I answer every comment, every like. It is me personally. If you go into any one of my websites and you fill out a form, the first message you get will be the bot. That's in my funnel. The next will be me personally. My cell phone is on the internet. I don't care. It's considered the bat phone. I don't care who calls me. I'll call it anybody. It's open. But the easiest way, obviously, social media. Type in Mr. Brad Blair or Pacific Tanning or You versus You, and then you'll be able to find me.
And I tell you, folks, if you need some proof, go to the social media and you can see he's the real deal. He walks the walk. He's in the gym. He's doing the crazy cold plunges. He's actually doing what it takes to move the needle, not just talking. And I really get disappointed when I see the mentor, the gurus that talk a good game, but obviously don't live it. And in this case, Brad's living it. He's got the proof. Got the proof, not just in what he can say, but the physique, the pictures, the routines, the drive. And if you want to make a change, man, you got to make an effort, connect up with somebody that can help you through the change. I do think most folks can get some benefit out of some authors. There are some pretty good ones, but you can only go so far with a book. At least you can only go so far so fast. I am an avid reader. I've got a lot of gurus that I follow, but the times in my life that I've made the biggest changes, the most rapid changes, I've connected with somebody who can coach me and say, this is really how it is. Here's how you shortcut it. Here are the steps. Here are the wounds that I've got to prove that I've been there. And then breakthroughs can occur much, much more quickly.
Yeah, I call it heartbreak to breakthrough. We all have heartbreaks in every area, not just the relationship, We have heartbreaks in business. We have heartbreaks of how we think. We have heartbreaks, whether it's physical fitness, whether you're overweight, underweight. We have heartbreaks in all the areas. But your heartbreak is going to create the breakthrough. Your mess is your message. The mess you have to go through is the message. I've created this amazing platform. And even if you don't even utilize the platform much and you talk to me once a week, I will say just do these specific things. And a lot of success is actually subtractive. Just take all the poison and negative out of your life and watch what happens in 90 days. It's kind of wild. It can go pretty quick. Remove all of the vices, all of the junk food, all of the nonsense, all of the scrolling that you don't need or don't have value to, and watch what happens.
Yeah, it can be magical, and it can be rapid. When you're in the right hands, getting the right coaching, getting the right influence, change can come much more quickly than most folks think. Figure that it's got to take months, years, maybe longer to make significant changes. I don't think that's usually the case. I think if you get to the right person, get the right guidance, then you can make some changes in a hurry.
Yeah, I was 214 pounds and I went to 169 in 90 days. And
Ooh.
that was removing alcohol, no vices. Obviously, I still like my pizza and my hot dogs and hamburgers and my ice cream, but I really dialed down my nutrition and macros, and I was at the gym every day. But a lot of it was removing those vices. Believe it or not, when you scroll on social media, it's not only what you're seeing, it's what you're doing. You're just sitting. You're not mobile. That alone will destroy you.
Plus, you're getting those little pellet rewards,
Of
whether
course,
it's
the endorphins.
cocaine, pornography, or scrolling social media. The same part of the brain lights up, which is just appalling when you think about that. So my porn addiction or my social media addiction can be kind of the same as far as the brain is concerned. And cocaine, right there, same neighborhood. And I don't want to feed those kind of habits. I don't want to waste that time. I don't want to get to the end of the week wondering what in the world did I do this week or even this day. Get to the end of the day and wonder what I really, really get accomplished. Where
Yeah.
did I go forward as a person? Don't
Yeah,
want those.
and I always say it's really the basis of self-respect. If you take any avenue and just am I self-respecting me as an individual, because then I could respect others. So even, people go on OnlyFans, and that is just such a destruction, unfortunately, for both sides. And
Both sides.
I've spoken to some people that have been on it, females, and they talk about identity being ripped out and being a slave of thousands of people. You don't even think of it that way. But when she eliminated that, her whole world changed. She got tapped into the spirit, which is great. And my program, you're going to start feeling the results within the week or two. And then once you get that momentum, you start becoming more confident. And that confidence builds a self-respect. And it just kind of snowballs, like you said. It continuously becomes the gratifying, but in such a raw, personal feeling. And you're in control of it. That's great.
I love it. Well, to be respectful of your time, I suppose we ought to wrap up. Man, I could go another hour.
Me
This
too. I love this stuff.
material, awesome background. I will put a bunch of I'll put all the social media that I can find in the show notes and ways you guys can connect with Brad. Take a look at it. If you want to go forward in your life, if you want to get out of a lot of the pain that you're suffering from, physical, emotional, mental, take a hard look. You got to consider something like this. If you want to get unstuck in life, go forward.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Brad. It's been a pleasure. We're going to have to do this again.
Yeah,
No
definitely
doubt.
do it. As I always say, I'm always here to help anybody. I'm definitely a phone call away, DM away. Like I won't even say anything. I'll listen. But if you want me to interject and give some guidance, always here to help.
Awesome. All right.